Hello, I have Xiang from Scotland here. Hi, Xiang.
Hello, Yitka.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Could you tell me about the situation with coronavirus in Scotland? What are the government measures?
The situation here is actually developing very, very quickly. So every update we're getting is like changing by the hour. And I think the government just introduced a stay-at-home order about a week ago, just over a week ago. I remember it's like a Monday night when the Prime Minister Boris Johnson made this announcement at 8:30 p.m. asking everyone to stay at home. So that was the first time he made a cohesive uh, announcement and being very definitive in terms of what you need to do during this time. Up till then, the messages has been quite mixed, where sometimes you say, "Oh, you need to wash hands." You watch the anthem of the national anthem of UK. You should go out and have fun. And there was a lot of mixed messages. But until about a week ago, that was the first time they actually say, "Guys, stay at home. You save lives." And ever since then, there's still a lot of development. So the statistics, unfortunately, is still growing, and they are still working on the vaccines, and they also started introducing measures of who to test first. And while all of this is happening, they also found out that the prime minister was infected. So was the chief minister of the health minister, and and also the prime minister's right hand man, Dominic. And it's just a lot of things are happening really quickly. But they say they started testing the frontline workers, in the NHS, who are working in the hospital. Those are the ones who are most vulnerable. But then I don't think that has been widely introduced yet. The hotspots are London, which is understood, and then Birmingham is also quite severe.
Really?
Yeah, and then Scotland, the most affected areas, understandably, are Glasgow and the Lothians. The Lothians, they're basically the Edinburgh area. They call it the Lothians. So that's the central belt. And then up north, the cases are fairly stable. They don't increase as much, which is a good sign. And then if you looking at the islands, which is you get the Shetlands, Orkney, and the Outer Hebrides. Orkney's got no cases, and I checked that a day or so ago. But then the Shetlands got some, which I
Mm.
presume was probably from international workers because that's where a lot of the oil and gas transportation or hub are taking place. That's where all the oil come together before they get sent back on shore as well. So that's another phenomenon we had as well, where everyone started signing up to Microsoft Teams. Zoom becomes very popular, and then you see people, managers, working from home and then have their kids popping their head up. Sideways. Hello. So that happens very often. Know, all of the snowmen join the meeting as well sometimes. So that's become a norm, which I think as a society in the past you usually get that from the women professional team who like, oh, I had to stay at home to look after kids, but now you see the people whose partners, like in this case our COO's wife is a doctor, so she has to work. And because people don't do childcare anymore, then he has to look after the kids, and you see the kids coming during the meeting. So, yeah, things are changing.
Okay, and
It's
you do you have
yeah.
to, or are you encouraged to wear masks when you go outside?
They don't say that explicitly. The main message in the UK is to stay at home, and if you go out, you're only allowed to go to do essential traveling to work or to do your essential shopping. or to do your daily exercise once per day. And you should keep going outside the house to a minimum. For example, if you have to go to the shop and get some stuff, you have to keep that to a minimum as well. So those are the main messages. And then they also say that if you do go outside, you have to maintain a 2 meter distance. So all of those, nothing about masks was mentioned. So when you go to the shop, you still see people walking around without masks. And then in shops, I think the government's guideline is so loose, they actually leave it to the people, like the shops themselves, to provide their own guidelines. So you start seeing the shops like Tesco's and Sainsbury's. You can see them changing over time as well, starting from, and at first they said, yeah, we'll still be opening. We're hiring more staff because there's a uh, increased demand for stocks changing over and whatnot. Then they say, oh, we're going to limit the hours. Then they're saying, oh, we're going to limit the people inside the shop. Then they started putting markers on the floor inside the shopping place to mark those 2 meters distances. Those would be applicable for those bigger ones, and then the smaller ones, they are a bit more relaxed, but they might do them around the till where you check out, so which is where people usually gather. In some cases, they even hire security people in front of the shop to make sure that only a certain amount of people go inside the shop, for example. And then when all this is happening, they don't say that you should be wearing masks. They don't say that you should be wearing gloves. And then inside the shop workers, I don't see them wearing masks either. They're just wearing gloves, and you can see them keeping their distance. And just it's a slightly different approach, I would say. And then the other thing I wanted to say about how they leave it up to the people doing that. Basically, it's almost as if it's up to the general public to decide, wash your hands. But then how do you know that the stuff that you buy from the shops were handled by people who had taken the precaution? So that wasn't very clearly laid out. So that's one thing. The other thing as well I noticed with delivery, so the food delivery, home delivery has increased, and Amazon even started to prioritize things that are considered priority, for example, like food stuff, home essentials, and IT equipment, apparently. But then
Okay.
other things that are not essential, they will put a month wait. So if you order today, you have to wait a month. But the essential one, you can still get them in 2 days' time. So they prioritize stuff.
That's
And
good.
then what used to be able to, you have to sign things and to prove that you delivered. Nowadays, it's almost across all the delivery courier services where you just take pictures of things that are delivered. So you can see changes everywhere, and many people, have already started saying, like, in academia, or in people who are journalists, who say this is going to change the world. When this is over, the way nothing's going to be the same again. Way of life, how we will do things, how we work, how we communicate. Nothing is going to be the same again after this. This is a very unusual moment.
It is. And what about uh, is there any way how the government encourages people to stay at home? For example, if people aren't staying at home and if they are gathering, do they are there introduced any charges or anything
Yes.
like that?
So they start out by giving the instruction first, and while they do that, the lawmakers are working in the background to set out this legislation, to define what those punishments going to be, what those fines going to be, and if there's a repeat offender, the fine is going to be drastically increased. They're working on laws that will give the law enforcement power to enforce those. But then, because this is the UK, you still get a bit of a resistance from the general public, where the overzealous law enforcers will not be very welcome, essentially. But then you still have the right to issue fines, and I think it started something low right now. It's like 30 quid, 30 pounds, if you pay within, I don't know, is it 14 days or 28 days? And then if you don't pay within that duration, you increase. And then if you're a repeat offender, I think the fine is much bigger, but nowhere as big as the ones in Italy yet. And the thing gatherings is uh, no gathering more than two people are allowed, and you're not allowed to go and visit friends, or you're not allowed to go and visit families who don't live in the same household. Those are being enforced. However, that saying that we don't really see such active patrolling around the neighborhood. Maybe it's because I live outside the city. I think in the city you see policemen who are patrolling the streets. And an interesting thing is traffic wardens are considered essential workers. So there you go.
Mm.
Even though not many
Okay.
people are going to park their cars,
Mhm.
but that is still active.
And is it allowed to go abroad, or are people allowed from abroad to come inside the UK? Are there any restrictions on that?
I that wasn't. I haven't really looked into it because they were a bit slow in introducing that to start with. I would presume that many countries now share this understanding where you don't leave the country, and if you do, you need to come back soon. But I don't think UK has completely stopped it. When Boris Johnson made an announcement, there were rumors that any British personnel who are outside the UK must come back within 48 hours. But that was just rumors. That's not really something that is officially announced by the UK government. UK government's party line is, if you're abroad, we recommend that you come back, soon. But they didn't put a timeline to it. But then there are cases where Britons who are abroad, who are in a country that, has turned into a hotspot, they don't allow them to leave the country, for example. So they're stuck out there.
I
Uh,
see.
and then there are countries who simply just won't allow people coming from the UK in general. So and then the other thing is all the airlines are reducing their services. I live quite close to the airport and just 15 minutes away from it, and I usually can hear the turbines firing up. Now it's been pretty quiet in the past week or so.
So probably they are reducing the number of flights.
Definitely.
hmm Okay, and the schools and public places are closed, or what is actually open now? Where can you go?
Most food shops are open, and then the pubs should be closed. But then some pubs have changed their business model to turn into like a home delivery or takeaway services. In that way, they're allowed to stay open. So you see a lot of that happening. And then you see a lot of these kind of cafes and restaurants starting to recruit people to do food delivery domestically. So
Okay.
that also created opportunities. Um, any other places that are open? I mean, a lot of places are closed now. I mean, some post offices may still be open, but then they also reduce services. Um, Petrol station they're still open. Garages they're still open. DIY shops they limit the sale of the items that are essential to maintain, like electricity or lighting or heating. Those items are considered essential. But if you want to create a vegetable bed in your garden, then they're not going to sell those items, for example. So those are stopped, and uh, gyms are all closed, obviously. And yeah, it's only very limited. Bike shops though, bike
Oh,
sales has increased. Gym is a
mhm.
funny one. Although gym is closed, gym equipment sales has gone up. So you see shops have completely sold out. Stay at home stuff
Do you
has
exercise at
increased.
home?
Yeah, exactly.
hmm
I'm not sure actually using it, but the sale has definitely gone up. Uh, and IT equipment as well because um, compared to my employer, I work for a technology company, so all of us have a laptop and we are always on the move, so we have no issues working from home. In fact, we actually my employer Cyberhall implemented this working from home a week before the government issued that order. So we were well ahead of time, and even before then, we already implemented a one-day dry run to kind of find out if anyone has any internet issue, logging issues, if they have any equipment, and then we had a 1 week uh, company shutdown before the country went to shutdown. But the problem is, for many other companies, they don't issue laptops. They have to start finding laptops immediately. So basically, everything is sold out. Then they say, oh, if you're going to work from home, we need mouse, we need keyboards, we need headphones, we need a router. And then I also discovered last night as well something as niche as a domestic Wi-Fi extender. If you have a large house and your Wi-Fi connection isn't as good as such a thing, those are sold out as well. So
Mhm.
it's unusual times.
Yeah. So, okay, thank you very much for telling me about the situation in Scotland, and let's see how it continues, what happens next.
Thank you for having me. It was great seeing you again, and I
Thank
hope
you
to
for
have
having me.
another interview sometime in the future. Hopefully, after this is all over
Yeah.
outside.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.